For you, did the numbers give some relief that they can drive forward, that revenue will continue to explode even with non-access to China?
Yeah, Caroline, it's pretty clear that China didn't prove to be much of a headwind at all. I know folks came out there and they cut their numbers in advance because of the announcement of that restriction on H20. But when you look at what they delivered, it's pretty clear to me that Nvidia is still, and its customers are still in a situation of not being able to produce enough of those Blackwell and Grace Blackwell chips to satisfy demand. So, you have to be listening carefully to what Jensen said. He said that they would have had 2.5 billion more in sales to China. He didn't say that they would have had 2.5 billion more in sales in total. So I think what happened there was simply that they had plenty of people on the wait list to get those chips. And when they couldn't sell them, they lost obviously the H20, but they were able to pull out of their hats the Blackwell and ramp that up more quickly and satisfy a long waiting list of demand.
So going forward, does it change any of your portfolio allocation to Nvidia if this restriction remains? And indeed, if Jensen doesn't decide to look for a new kind of design that does meet Washington's abilities for him to sell into China once more?
I don't think, given Washington's current stance, that there's going to be anything that they can do about this. He said he was working on something, but when you look at the competitive alternative, which is Huawei, why would Alibaba or Tencent buy an even lesser chip than the H20? The only reason they would is if Huawei is capacity constrained. And there was a hint of that, even though they said capacity rose a bit. These are bigger chips. That's how they're getting to the higher performance. They're simply making them bigger, putting more space on the chips between transistors. So I suspect there's a capacity constraint. So if they did find a way, perhaps these customers would buy even a lesser chip from Nvidia. But beyond that, just look at the global demand still. I think we're still years away from Nvidia running out of customers, even without China.
Nvidia is up almost 5% right now as we speak. I'm looking at the landscape of what else is up today. I think it just comes down to, JoAnne, you tell me, do you believe in the big picture that Jensen, every single earnings call and every interview presents, which is the investment curve for the AI infrastructure around the world is exponential? He uses words like exponential and insatiable demand.
Well, Jensen's very good at drawing exciting pictures. I think we'll have to see just how much uptake there is, but the early signs are very positive. The applications for AI are clearly spreading to multiple sectors, whether it's healthcare, industrial, financials. And now we are seeing what he talked about a long time ago, which is the demand by other sovereigns. So he seems to have on his plate a very big opportunity in Europe. We'll obviously learn more about that after his trip next week, hopefully. But also enterprise. And right now, enterprise on-premises computing is still the vast majority of compute out there for data centers, for data type of work. And so there's an opportunity there for on-site AI. I think that's going to be a very large market in addition to the sector spread. So yeah, I think there's a big opportunity ahead. Obviously, how big it is, we're going to have to see. But it gives us certainly good reason to continue holding Nvidia for clients, which we have done since early 2022.
In a Grace Blackwell server design, Dell has touched it, Micron has touched it. There are other components in there, and it's interesting to see those names also higher. I really wanted to ask you this. This is the CEO of probably America's most important technology company telling Chinese technology companies not to bother with American technology and to buy Huawei. How do you model for and assess the stock based on the CEO's relationship with China and the President of the United States and the fine line that he's clearly walking?
Very tricky politics, obviously, for every CEO. I think he made a really important point, and it's one we've seen before, that is there's a standards battle going on here. On which type of technology platform or stack, as he put it, will AI applications be built? And he's right to point out that it's better if we, the US and Nvidia and our other companies like Broadcom, win that standards battle. It will expand our markets, not just in China, but beyond China. He's going out there to try to win the business from Europe. So, it's hard to put numbers on these things, Ed, But yeah, again, I think for the foreseeable future, we do have a situation where the waiting list for these chips is so large that missing out on China itself is probably not that big of a deal. Now, some years from now, we might very well feel, and Nvidia might feel that loss of that market if something doesn't change.